Hey, my name is shawnshawn. I sell art on shawnshawn.co. Today we're going to react to Ellie Mandy. So Ellie is a portrait painter for the most part, looks like. I think she might do landscape, so I think she just focuses primarily on portraits. I think she got her kickoff on YouTube. She did African American, minorities. And so it's an interesting tangle because a lot of artists will just do only blonde girls. It's very typical. They sell well, so people just paint kind of what sells, right? Even if they're not even European before, say, I've seen Asian artists do white girls and you're like, what are you doing? Why don't you paint your own people? So this is really cool. I think she's, find a little niche here that hasn't been covered too well. Tutorials. So let's go check out her channel. All right, so the first video we're going to cover is called Blood and Chocolate, and this is more of her one or more popular videos. I think it probably made her mind to decide to do more minority style painting because it's probably just not done too much. There are obviously painters of all types, but I think it's kind of an unusual niche. So let's check out this video. It's a nice kind of scratchy sound in the background. It's kind of the ancient feel to it, so it's kind of cool. Painting around is very unusual as well, not very common. It was common probably in the last century, maybe 1900s. It was very common to do this. So I think she's going to just roll the background. Oh, she's going to put some more acrylic on there. So nice background music. It's very chill. It'd be nice to have the voiceover a little bit, but this is kind of a nice zoom shots here between the different, the mixing the paint and then going forward. And she's kind of edit out the boring parts, which is what you should do in a good video. So she's mixing. Let's skip ahead a little bit. So she's going to apply that to the canvas. Let's go a little further ahead. This is nice. She has a good explanation of the colors she's going to use. She's time-lapsed them really fast. I don't know if that's the ideal speed. I time-lapse part of that when I do that. The mixing I could time-lapse, so I could see that. So obviously for skin tone, oil is the best because you can mix all these colors carefully to get the right skin tones. I'm not very good at it myself, so this is a really smart process to really learn.
Let's get to it.
Oh, she does have a voiceover.
I did use a charcoal transfer technique before starting this. That's why the lines look so clean. But yeah, I am going to start the acrylic underpainting first.
So this is a really smart way to do it. I think maybe she sketched it out and then she just there's a transfer process, and that allows you to get all the proportions right. You don't adjust it while you're painting. So it's I'm assuming she's just going to paint and fill kind of now a different area. So we'll see how that works.
As detailed as possible. I'm watching YouTube in the background right now.
And it's a really cool portrait for that.
I'm going in with Liquitex Basics.
Ooh, basics, no!
To like seal the graphite.
Okay. I was like, no, don't use bad paint. Okay, so she's just kind of just getting it on.
My channel. I have a new video for you guys today. And the title of this painting, I think I'm going to call it Blood and Chocolate.
Very great voice. Very nice, silky.
My first official, really deep skin tone, so I was really excited about it. I haven't done a really deep skin tone ever, so I was just like, let's do it. Let's go in. I've practiced enough, and it's time to do something really different. And I think I'm probably going to make this like a series where I do like different races, like different ethnic groups. And
Yep.
I don't know. I feel like that would just be like an interesting concept. But let me know what you guys think about that.
Okay, let's go ahead a little bit more. She's doing really fast time lapse.
Dry for a few days. I really started to see the color and like the richness of it. And it was really hard for me to get like a good photograph of this painting because there's so much glare. And I guess because there was like still like wet oil paint on it. But after it dried and it started to matte up a little bit, you could really see the color and the vibrancy. So I was like so proud of it. And it looked just like the reference photo, which I was going for. That's what I do in like all my paintings. Like I love picking a reference photo that has so much detail and so much like strength and just so powerful, and I want to be able to capture all of it.
Yeah, the
Which
skin
is,
tone's really
I'm
nice on
not
the
like
neck.
getting into photorealism and hyperrealism.
So skip ahead a little bit.
It's probably from Walmart. But
So she has a really nice voiceover here.
here you can see where I made that mistake I was talking about earlier. Well, I wouldn't say it's like a mistake, but I was like going back over the cheek with like a darker color. Like I was trying to make the skin more warm, so I started to use like red and purple undertones. And I was like, holy crap, this looks so bad. And I had to fix it off camera. I had to go back over it with like brown and like fix it. So that part.
And this skin tone is really hard to paint because the range is it's like a really tight range. Like white skin, you can do a broader range, so it's a little challenging to make it look realistic.
It is so messy. Y'all don't even know. Like it was all over my carpet. I had to vacuum and all that stuff. I had to vacuum.
Oh, that's horrible.
It just wasn't fun. It wasn't the move.
Yeah, definitely wouldn't recommend using this stuff. It looks great, but it's a real nightmare to work with. Which is a good reason why not to do it on carpet. She has a carpet. That must have been a nightmare to pull that out of the carpet, I can imagine. This is pretty cool.
Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. There are no crazy edits on this one because I was pretty proud of this one just by itself and how it looked. So
I think it looks pretty good. I'm not certain on the silver element. I mean, it's kind of a cool idea to put silver, but I'm not sure. For me, it's not really working as well. Maybe she's intended, but awesome portraiture. Let's go on to the next video here. So this one is about painting lips. So it's painting 4 different lips. So it's just a really good way to learn the body. Is just focus on one thing, like paint the lips over and over and over and over again. You'll get really good. Same with like the eyes, do an eye study. People just put that up on Instagram though. It's kind of boring, but it is a great way to get good at the face. Is, you know, just focus on certain elements of the face and just really master those textures, shades, shape. And then once you put it all together, it kind of comes together a lot cleaner. So it's interesting. You always use these round canvases because it's not very common nowadays to have round canvases. So I think she's going to do the background mix again. So making this nice neutral background, which is nice. That's always a really smart idea. Because you give a neutral background, it creates a neutral gray. So when you do the highlights and you do the darks, you kind of have that nice contrast already. And generally, a painting wants to be mostly gray.
You're going to take 400 grit, 800 grit sandpaper, and 1,000 grit sandpaper and sand them down.
So that makes a really nice surface, so you don't see any lines. So that's a really smart way to paint.
I really like doing these smaller paintings because they take less time. And I can like get them done while I'm like in classes because I have online classes. So I'm like sitting there recording my painting while listening to classes, which, you know, that's just me. If I'm not telling you to do that, you need to focus on school, like hello. But I did that and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna paint. And I finished it fairly quickly. I think I finished it in like a few hours, which accumulated to like 2 days. You know, I did the...
So I think one thing I would maybe change here is on the edit. I think she's taken a regular length and just collapsed it. But what I do in my time lapses is I'll do that, but then I'll cut all the I do mine so it's just the paintbrush never leaves the canvas. So you can get more, you can do a longer time frame so it's closer to the real time speed, but not so time lapse. She's done it really fast to get rid of all the time speed. But I think if she edits down the, you know, take away the paintbrush, add the paintbrush, take that and just minimize that motion a little bit more, it'll be a lot smoother painting. At least that's how I do mine. She's obviously a very good painter, so let's keep going.
First layer was like the base layer where I did like a really thinned out oil paint, and then I did the second layer, which is a little bit more oil paint, and then the third layer, which was more details. I find it interesting how you can transform something or make something pop off the page by just adding white to it. Like for the lips, for instance, it's just like a stark white on them, and then next thing you know, it looks glossy and her lips look juicy and they're like popping off the page, and it's like, yes, give me a kiss, like, yes. So these paintings were fairly easy, but there were some lips that were easier to paint than others, and you'll see me paint this one that you see on screen.
Skip ahead a little bit.
Video. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe.
Ooh, that's really cool.
And have an awesome day. Bye.
So now it looks juicy, like what she was talking about earlier. Before she adds kind of the varnish, it doesn't have that nice glow to it, but now it's really popping with that final touch. So you can see the real difference there with add varnish, no varnish. So it's nice she slowed down this part. It's always amazing when you see that difference in the painting. You put the varnish and you're like, whoa, dude, that's so awesome. Alright, so I think we get the picture of that one. I'm going to skip ahead to the next video. This is my first custom MacBook Pro. So she's painting a laptop. She doesn't do this too often, so I think she just did one. Let's see how it turns out. Ooh, creepy music. It's scary. Ah! Is that the cover? What is this? Oh my god, these silly ads pop up. So now, I don't know if that's on the laptop itself or just a transfer sticker. Very, very creepy music. But with the skull, you got to have kind of the appropriate music. So again, really highly detailed, sketched out, and then just fill in the different areas. It makes it a lot easier to stay true proportionally. You obviously still have to have a lot of skill, but if you get the drawing done right, then everything else will kind of fall into place, I think. But you still have to have a great understanding of the color blends and where to put the colors and all that. But if you get these nice, at least kind of the tonality right and the values right, I mean, you can change the colors, obviously, but you can adjust that and then you'll be proportionally correct. You won't have that issue down the road. So I guess she's painting straight on the MacBook. I can't tell because she didn't really have an explanation, I don't think. Let's skip ahead a little bit. Just a little bit. Oh, so she's using resin. So resin is always interesting because you have to mix it like you can't. It just comes in separate different vials. You mix it together, get the right. It's like a real baking kind of experiment because if you get the portions right, it doesn't come out right. And then when you pour it on, it's just beautiful. But you have to be very careful to get all the bubbles out because sometimes you can have bubbles left over and then it's like, you drive with the bubbles and it can be a disaster. So I think that's what she used in the last one. She didn't use varnish, but resin. So that really, resin will really make it shiny. So she's gonna add some funky glitter. Let's go on top. Well, that's kind of fun to give it like a little extra pop. In this case, you probably do want resin to protect that paint because it would get a lot of wear. So the resin will give it some protection against any wear when you have this. It's very tricky not to ruin the laptop because you could get that inside and be like, eh. Yeah, you can see that crazy shine because of the glitter and then also just the resin gives it that white. You can see the white line just going over this. So that O-ring isn't very ideal for this situation. It's generally a great light to use for a portrait shot on for your face, but not necessarily this style where you're, you want to have kind of a single point of light, I think, and that would be a better type of light. That light is great for makeup videos and other things here. Let's see how this works. Okay, so it's like a sticker that goes right on top, which is smart. It kind of clamps on there. I was like, whew, she didn't ruin the laptop, it's separate. I was like, dude, that's gonna ruin that laptop if you get any of that crap into the keys. So that looks pretty dope. So that's her channel. Let's go back to her videos. Okay, that's it. So just look at the channel. It has this really nice YouTube banner on top with the different portraits she's doing. Let's go to the home. You'll see how it really looks. So she has an intro video, it looks like, which is always good to have that. And just upload. So she could add the different playlists here and kind of make that pop. She does have a lot of good videos. And so it's just a matter of organizing it a little bit, like body parts. Maybe put the lips in one folder. You could put, the different facial studies into one group. The laptop probably in its other group if she does more of those. But again, I think she's focused mostly on portraiture. So not much there to define. You could define it by race maybe, but I don't think you need to. But you could do probably women, men, because she does do a few guys, not too many. Obviously, portraitures of women are very popular compared to men, because women like to look at women and men like to look at women, but men don't necessarily like to look at guys. So it kind of cuts it's like 50% of the attraction for that type of painting. That's why there's so many women painting. But if you look back in history, if you look back, say, the Greeks, they actually valued the male figure much more. And the male was always naked statues and naked painting, and then the women were clothed. So it's just the opposite of today's culture, where you have the women like in bikinis and stuff, and the guys are wearing like these long board shorts and stuff, right, covering more than the women. So it's very interesting how you see that in different epochs of art history. You see a really big difference. Yeah, I think she's a really great artist. I think she could work a little bit on the way she edits the videos. I think I would just cut down a little bit more. For my particular taste, I would cut out all the brush dipping. And so it just looks like you're painting consistently, and that gives it especially if you're doing time lapse. If you're not doing time lapse, it's fine because it's just a really slow dip and you pull out the brush and you come back. And so if you do it real time, it's fine. But if you do time lapse, I like to cut out those parts where it's back and forth, because you'll just see the hand move like this, versus if it's all in one area, you'll just see the hand doing this, which I think is a little more pleasing to the eye. Great artist, really good technique. And I think she's just doing a video a month. So I would encourage her to do a video a week, because if you do it once a week, you're going to have a huge gain in popularity. I think people just aren't finding her videos because they only come out once a month. So she has a small fan base, and then not many people see it. And then because it's only once a month, probably if they're on other painting channels that come out once a week, they're going to see those videos a lot more, and then her videos will see less and less, even though they're fan base. So that's one of the key things of YouTube, is do once a day. Not once a day, but once a week. I try to do 3 to 4 a week, but I'm a little bit insane, right? I mean, first get your technique down. She's obviously got her technique down, which is going to make it easier to sell later. So I think she's got that down. I would just introduce yourself a little bit in each video. I think that would be nice to know her. I have no idea who Ellie is, her personality. Maybe a little bit of a touch of a vlog in there would be really cool. It's highly focused though, so on portraiture, so I think it has like a tight focus. But yeah, go check out her work. It would be nice to see her face and kind of get her backstory a little bit, because I think on her website, let me look here, the link she provided, it's really nice and simple. It just has kind of 2 art prints or paintings, so that's really nice. And then she has her YouTube channel. I think she has some merchandise too. Let's see what her merchandise. Okay, she's still working on that. So this is probably a pretty new page, but really excellent because she has really great technique. So it's just a matter of getting her out there. This photo looks slightly blurry. I'm not sure if it is, but she does have a little bit of introduction here. But yeah, I would add probably a picture of yourself, unless she wants to remain hidden. I could see that. Some people like that. It's always interesting. Some artists, they don't want to put themselves out there, so they just put the painting out there and then buy my work, but don't really know the artist. And I think people like to make that connection between the artist and the art. There is that danger, especially for women. You get stalkers. I've had stalkers that are really weird, and the people call you up and be like, how much to meet you personally? I'm like, for what? For commission? I'm like... And I think it's for something else, and you're like, uh-oh, what is this, man, about? And so women, you get even more kind of harassed that way. So, which if you have a boyfriend or something, you probably don't want that attention. So I can understand women they don't want to attach themselves to the work. It obviously sells way better if you do. You don't have to put yourself out there sexually. Some people put themselves out like they're painting naked or something. It's ridiculous. But obviously they have a huge fan, but they're mostly probably there to see her naked, not really paint. So, I think a good ground is just show yourself in a nice, attractive, dress or, shirt or whatever, and then just paint and then be yourself on camera. I think that's the best formula. I think that works. You always have stalkers anyway, so I don't know if it's going to really help not to be on camera. I mean, you could use sunglasses or something, I don't know. But yeah, I think, you know, she has a good channel. I think if she just put out more videos more often, she would have a much higher popularity. But yeah, I think she has a really solid YouTube channel. I encourage you guys to check her out, and it's pretty unusual because I haven't seen that many high-end painters that paint a lot of minorities per se. They usually focus on, you know, white girls because they sell better, I guess, with probably because a lot more rich people are white versus, you know, minorities. There is a growing, you know, minority class growing as far as, you know, wealthy people like Oprah, etc. So there is that market is opening up. But yeah, I mean, since art is usually collected at the higher end, you have that. Unfortunately, you have this old, you know, stereotypical white male guy at the top. It's just the reality, unfortunately, still. It is changing a little bit over time, but that kind of, they have a lot of influence on the art world because they buy the premium stuff. And the middle class doesn't have that much of an impact on what sells as artwork. They buy a little piece here and there, but generally, you know, the market's upper middle class or higher. So those upper classes really kind of dominate, unfortunately, kind of what kind of genres of art are sold and then become famous. And that's why you see particular artists at art shows, or you go to, like, say, an art Miami, you go to art San Francisco, those big art markets, and you're going to see this weird skew in the art world, and you'll be like, why is this in here, you know? And it's just, they're pitching to those ultra rich clients who have a particular taste that's not with the broad stream of society probably. But that's always quirky. If you ever go to an art show, I would totally encourage you to go. It's like the weirdest people you've seen in your life, with wearing haute couture, and just really, I don't know, just really interesting because they have so much wealth that they could just be completely insanely individual. I would say it's very interesting, very different than your typical businessman that's kind of, you know, in your middle class or kind of director level. They're still kind of trying to fit in between all the different companies, but once they get to the upper echelon, it's just, they just go off on the deep end. Anyway, I would check out her channel, Ellie Mandy. She has a really great style, great portraiture. So it'd be really exciting to see how her art develops further, and hopefully you guys like my channel. Give me a thumbs up. If you like to subscribe, you can subscribe below, and I'll see you in the next Artist React video. Thanks for watching, guys.